Good evening, Canada. We are back here with our Voice of Canada's new episode this week. I'm your host, Asphandiar Wadiwalla. My female co host is Patricia Pollack. And we have got a very interesting guest from the corporate world, a banker, a Rotorian, Badar Shamim. Welcome to our show, Voice of Canada.
Well, thank you for inviting me, Aspi.
Welcome. Introduce with your name only for our viewers, just.
As Aspi mentioned, Badar Shamim is my name.
Okay, I am your female co-host, Patricia Pollack, from Voice of Canada, along with our host, Wadiwalla. Welcome to our weekly talk show, Voice of Canada. From your interesting bio, we know that you, the polio chair of the D7080 Foundation Committee from the Rotary International over here in Canada. Inform our viewers and us of your role as the polio chair.
Most certainly. So, for those of your viewers who are not familiar with Rotary, Rotary is a 120-year-old service organization, primarily run by small to medium-sized business owners and professionals. District 7080 is the district from Orangeville, Brampton, Mississauga, Oakville, Burlington, all the way to Kitchener, Waterloo, Cambridge. And I am one of the 1,200 Rotarians in that district.
Wow. And congratulations.
Thank you. And currently have the distinction of being the polio chair for the district. Polio eradication is our flagship global initiative, which we launched in 1985. When we started, there were 370,000 cases of polio around the world.
Wow.
We're now down to only 7 so far this year, and we're hoping that in a few years we'll be down to 0. And it will be the second disease after smallpox that such a global effort would eliminate.
Thank you. So, Badar Shamim, we would like to know more in detail about the polio eradication around the world, because as you just mentioned, I recall I had not remembered the year in 1985. I was back home. I was a Rotarian that time. And I remember because I had attended some international conventions also happening there in Pakistan. So I know, but still, how come in Pakistan polio has not been eradicated in such a massive way? And you also went. What I read in your bio, you also went, and lots of efforts have been taken. And in some other African and Middle Eastern countries, polio still exists.
Yeah, so Aspi, you're absolutely right. In 1985, it was the efforts of Rotarians in Philippines that, quite frankly, inspired Rotary International as an organization to take a look at taking up this cause globally. And as I mentioned earlier, there were some 375,000 kids at that point in time that had
around the world.
Mm-hmm. Currently, there are only 2 countries that are polio endemic, and that's Pakistan, as you mentioned,
still,
and Afghanistan. And in addition to that, there are a number of regions that do occasionally have a flare-up of polio pandemic, and they're mostly Central and West African nations: Chad, Niger, Cameroon, Burundi,
African countries,
African nations. So the efforts continue vigorously in all of those countries, led by Rotarians and supported by our colleagues from UNICEF, World Health Organization, as well as the local governments. Oh, and not to mention the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, to basically eradicate polio from all of those countries once and forever. In Pakistan, quite frankly, we're doing quite well. We're down to now only 7 districts, primarily in the southern part of KPK, where we do have polio. And that's primarily because of some right-wing nationalist politics, which didn't allow polio workers in government to reach the kids in a timely fashion to be able to vaccinate them. But we're making headways there now.
To educate our viewers, inform us that the polio affects only the children, young children.
Yeah, well, it's normally...
It can attack to adults also.
It can attack adults as well.
Wow.
So actually, we try to get to the kids as young as 5 years or earlier to basically make sure that they have the immunity.
And how many vaccinations they need to?
Oh, just 1 dose.
Just 1 dose.
1 dose. And
for the lifetime?
No. So, the dose can be updated after a few years again. In Canada, actually, I believe if you go to see your doctor and they take a look at your track record and see that you have not been vaccinated, they will actually remind you to...
and immediately. No, Canada, it's mandatory.
Yeah.
As soon as the child is born, the parents gets the full plan.
But one dose is sufficient normally for a child or even an adult to stay healthy.
For how many years?
For a long time.
For a longer
Yeah.
time, yeah. Okay. Go ahead.
So, Mr. Badar Shamim, we also note from your bio that in 2018, you traveled to Pakistan to take part in the polio eradication with the ongoing program. To give us some full details of the same, was your objective met with your visit?
Most certainly. So I was a teenager when my family immigrated to Canada in 1990. And quite frankly, much like most immigrants, I ended up spending most of the time focusing on my career and occupation. It wasn't until 2011 that I had an opportunity to visit Pakistan to attend the Rotary International Convention, the Rotary District Conference there, to meet some of the local Rotarians. And then in 2018, my predecessor, the previous polio chair for our district, Hajar Wilson, tapped me on the shoulder and said, we're thinking of taking a friendship team to Pakistan to be a part of the National Immunization Days. Would you like to come along? Friendship team visits are more than just visiting polio eradication centers.
It's a goodwill visit.
It's a goodwill visit.
Right.
So it was a good opportunity for me as a Canadian of Pakistani origins to go to Pakistan, meet the local Rotarians, feel the culture, and take a look at the social development needs across the country beyond polio, and in the process also participate in the polio eradication. And that's what we did. We started with Karachi, Asphandiar city.
Asphandiar was based over there, but our main city is Punjab. Our business place is Punjab.
Okay, fantastic. Good to know. And so from Karachi, we ended up traveling to the capital city of Islamabad, and then to Lahore. And all along the way, visited polio centers, met polio workers, met the local Rotarians, visited clubs, looked at everything else they were doing in addition to polio eradication, which included providing education, dealing with broader healthcare needs, amongst other things.
But tell us why there is people are in Pakistan in certain segments and certain provinces, they oppose giving their children polio vaccine. What is the taboo behind it?
Well, my personal
give us the information. I don't want any religious or anything, but why they feel it's a taboo in Pakistan?
My personal take on this is that people run their politics based
due to illiteracy.
No, people run their politics either based on facts or misinformation. At the end of the day, what polio elimination represents is what humanity can accomplish when we collaborate. And so if you're not in favor of collaboration and you want to keep your community isolated,
the workers, volunteers are attacked even. There were cases.
Correct. Then you basically spread misinformation. So a lot of misinformation was spread in certain quarters of remote areas of Pakistan.
Especially the NWFP and those provinces.
South KPK, yeah.
South KPK,
correct. And to be very precise, actually, Waziristan area.
Wow.
So currently
that's a rebel area.
So currently where you have problems is basically the Masood belt of KPK.
Still, what do you think? How many cases of polio must be there in Pakistan existing?
Oh, right.
Approximately.
So no, we're pretty accurate on that stuff. So
just approximately.
Year to date, we only have 2 cases of
in Pakistan.
Yeah.
And any cases occurred in Canada or in Western world, US and Canada?
No, we did have a case of polio in a region of a district of New Jersey last year.
Wow, USA.
Unfortunately, yes, there was paralysis as a result of it. And as a result of it, Canada did increase its vigilance of testing the waterways. We did find last year some reminiscence of not wild polio virus, but vaccine-derived polio virus. But in recent months, we have not seen any indication of any polio virus in our system.
So, person affected was a child or an adult?
It was an adult.
Adult.
Unfortunately, there are regions, and in that particular district where the gentleman had the virus, we found out that 35% of the people in that district don't have polio vaccination.
Wow.
In the United States.
Still?
Yes.
That's very sad.
Well, that's why Rotarians fully believe that unless all of us are safe, none of us are safe, right? As I mentioned to you, in Africa, there are places like Chad where a very large number of kids are what we called no vaccine kids. They have never received any vaccination, right? So God forbid if any of the viruses make their way there, that's a threat to basically the population as a whole. And that's why it's important to basically try and eliminate the remaining 2 polio endemic countries so that we can eliminate that risk once and for all.
But so
Because
far, since they haven't been vaccinated,
There's no immunity.
and they haven't had any polio, right?
Correct.
So, Mr.
Right.
Badar Shamim, I've also seen the after effects of polio. When the child is affected by polio, I've seen really, really very sad conditions. Somebody has lost his limb, somebody has lost his leg, walking ability, and all the stuff, or face going disfigured, and all that stuff. So, how is it curable 100%?
No. So once you're paralyzed, there's no cure for it, and that's precisely why it needs to be prevented, because there is no cure once you have it. In Canada, we're very lucky, as you said, that the disease was basically eliminated in 1979. The last big outbreak of polio in Canada was in the 50s. So there are people in Canada who remember their cousins or elders having polio.
Because we have seen children with polio in Pakistan. And I was always very sad and I always inquired what has happened to this child. To say the child was born healthy, but had an attack of polio.
That's exactly it. Yeah, so as I mentioned, there is no cure once a child or
Terrible.
an adult has polio. The only cure is the only way out of it is prevention.
Right. Go ahead.
So, Mr. Badar Shamim, we also read that you became a Rotarian since 2005. Was it here from Canada or from back home in Pakistan? And which portfolios did you serve in the Rotary? Explain in detail your role in those portfolios, and did you achieve your Rotary objectives?
Thank you. So as I mentioned, I came to Canada as a teenager in 1990. My education, post-secondary education, as well as career, is all here in Canada. And it wasn't until 2005 when a colleague of mine at a large national bank in Canada invited me to attend the local Rotary Club meeting in Brampton that I started learning about Rotary.
Mhm.
And what I liked about Rotarians in Canada was quite simply that they had already been doing a lot of this work that we're talking about. Polio eradication, for instance, started 35 odd years ago. So 18 years ago, when I looked at my club, in addition to me learning about what we were doing internationally, it was a great opportunity for me to become a part of the local community and start looking at local causes. So, for instance, September 23rd, my club is working with
Your
Peel Crime
chapter, you
Stoppers.
mean the chapter of your club?
My club.
Club.
Yeah, my
Okay.
club is working with Peel Crime Stoppers
Wow.
in support of their car wash. And the whole reason is just to promote law and order and security and crime prevention here,
Great.
here in
Thank you.
Peel.
Thank you.
Right?
That's an awesome thing.
And on October 24th, we're working together, all 5 clubs in Brampton, to again put together a luncheon where the proceeds will all go to the local food bank.
Lovely. Awesome.
And so basically, what attracted me to Rotary was that it was a network of business owners and professionals, but they all had shared values of serving community here
Communities,
as
yeah.
well as internationally,
Internationally also.
without any politics and without any religious bias.
Definitely. So how many clubs there must be in all over Canada, tentatively, the Rotary clubs?
Oh, that's a tough question.
No,
Aspi.
approximately.
Yeah,
I
I'm
don't know
not
exactly.
I'm not up to snuff on that, so I'll have to take a look at that.
Okay.
We do have a lot of districts in Canada. Canada
Districts.
is a big country, but as I mentioned to you, our district has about 48 clubs.
48 clubs.
And
Wow.
1,200
Wow.
members. Yeah.
That's really a great success.
Yeah.
So, do you think that the Rotary is ahead of the Lions and the Mason Lodge or League?
Aspi is now trying to get me in trouble.
No, I'm not. I'm just making the
would
comparison. I'm just having
I
a
would
small
not-
comparison.
I would not put it in those terms. They're all great service organizations, and quite frankly, we enjoy very good cordial working relationships with them.
Yeah, definitely.
What I will tell you is that Rotary now has roughly 36,000 clubs around the world,
Wow.
with a total manpower of about 1.4 million Rotarians,
And all professional mostly.
all professionals. So you could go to any part of the world, whether you're in Jamaica or Trinidad.
Yeah,
or
and attend a
Pakistan or
meeting.
India.
Introduce yourself and attend a meeting.
As soon as you walk into a Rotary Club, as long as you're a Rotarian, you're amongst fellow Rotarians, and the conversations will pretty much be the same as what we're having
in your
Brampton
country or wherever. Yeah.
Correct.
Because you are aware that I was a Rotarian for over a decade back in Pakistan, because that time I was in business and Rotary, so I couldn't afford time.
Yes.
And I mostly managed for so many years as Director International.
Fantastic.
My role was because I had more relation towards the international politics and all the stuff. So I used to invite diplomats.
Oh, yeah, fantastic.
And have the national day of that country. And I still recall that India and Pakistan, they've always been in conflict. I used to always celebrate the India Day on the Rotary level. And with the platform of Rotary, I could do.
Right.
Otherwise, without the platform, such a strong platform, they would not have allowed me to call the Indian diplomats and to address and have a dinner meeting.
Right. Yeah, that's a fair comment. As a matter of fact, as a Canadian Rotarian, I have very good relationships with Rotarians in India and Pakistan. We just celebrated India and Pakistan's Independence Day as a fundraiser for polio. We called it Freedom from Polio. India did become polio-free about 9 years ago. And then it was Nigeria about 4 years ago, and now we're working on Pakistan and Afghanistan. So I think the feeling is the same here in Canada. We do work closely with all communities. Our members come from every single community and every single faith, as well as political affiliation. And so in recent years, we have hosted the U.S. Consul General as well as the French Consul General. We are slated to host the U.K. Consul General, who happens to be a British national of Pakistani origins.
Oh, wow.
First female head of a mission from UK anywhere in the world, and she happens to be in Toronto.
Lovely. Wow. Awesome. Truly awesome news. So whenever you have
Sorry, my apologies. First female, Muslim female head of a UK mission anywhere in the world.
What's the name? Will you?
Faiza Yunus.
Oh, lovely, lovely.
So we'll have to have her here.
Shamim, let's move to a little bit about your career. For 21 years, you have been in the investment industry and the banking and corporate world. I would rather put the word corporate world. Would you throw some light what all you do in the corporate world as a banker, and at the same time, how you help people for the investments and all?
Well, so it's an interesting story. I took an elective course at Brock University called Personal Financial Planning for Canadians. And when I took that course, I remember reading the content of my textbook and realizing that nobody in my family ever followed personal financial planning in that sort of a structured manner. So after I graduated, I did get a job with the bank and started working on my industry designations. In financial planning, there's a designation called Certified Financial Planner. So I did that. I believe in 2000, April 2000, I was probably one of the first Canadians of Pakistani origins to become a certified financial planner. Did my portfolio management designation around the same time. It's called CIM, Canadian Investment Manager. And since 2000, I've been working as a financial planner / investment advisor in the community out there, which has been a very rewarding experience because there's no other career which allows you to keep an eye on what's happening around you from an investment and economic perspective. But more importantly, it allows you to meet Canadians from different walks of life and at different stages of life.
Definitely.
So I've dealt with young people graduating from a university, getting a good job and starting their savings, all the way to people who are currently retired and are simply trying to manage their investments from the standpoint of meeting their ongoing needs or passing their estate on to their kids. And in between, keeping an eye on the economy and our large companies, which are mostly our largest employers in cities like Brampton and Mississauga. I really enjoy working with individuals, helping them understand what's going on around us and making the most out of it for themselves.
Take a right decision in investments.
Yes.
Thank you. We'll be taking a short break and we'll be with you soon. Welcome back to our show, Voice of Canada, after a short break. My charming female co-host, Patricia Pollack, and your host, Asphandiar Wadiwalla, along with Mr. Badar Shamim, who is with us this evening for this week's interview on corporate affairs and especially on Rotary. So, Mr. Shamim, can you tell us about your early life here in Canada as a student in Brock? Brock is a very, very popular university in the region of Niagara. Am I right? St.
100%,
Catherine's.
100%. Yeah.
So tell us about your life. How did you enjoy your student life?
So I really enjoyed
The PG-13 version.
That's right. I really enjoyed life on the campus. But to give you a little bit of background, when I came from Pakistan, my English wasn't exactly the best.
You came from Lahore?
From Lahore.
Lahore.
And so, quite frankly, I really had to work on my English, and
English.
I naturally excelled in maths.
Wow.
And that was what prompted me to apply to Brock University, because Brock was one of the few schools in early 90s that actually offered all the 40 credits required to challenge the Chartered Accounting exam after your undergrad.
Wow.
Now, what happened is that during first year, I ran into a corporate finance professor, Dr. Don Sear, who I'm still in touch
at the
with,
university.
Who I'm still in touch with. And he truly became my inspiration to switch from accounting to finance.
Awesome.
I really started enjoying finance and continued on with that. I was always inclined to represent myself as part of the broader immigrant community. So even while I was at Brock University, from the very first year, I was part of the International Student Federation, and thoroughly enjoyed myself meeting other students from all around the world, and also putting together fun events, which allowed us to celebrate food, culture, music, dances from different parts of the world. And so that continued throughout my time in university. Besides that, St. Catherine's itself is a lovely, lovely, lovely place. If you haven't been there,
no, I go very often. It's a lovely small town full of love and humanity.
100%, and it's surrounded by absolutely gorgeous world-class vineyards.
Vineyards, vineyards,
some of the best
vineyards
wines produced in Canada are produced in that region.
And next door city is Welland.
100%.
So I go to Welland also. I love going to Welland. I've got friends over there. So, Mr. Shamim, as you have always been a broad-based Muslim here in Canada, and I've known you for a couple of years, your outlook is really good. You have been more a Canadian than you play politics with religion. So, would you like to say or advise something?
Yeah, look, I was very lucky to grow up in a family that always took a lot of pride. Pride in being their Muslim identity, but that did not become a limitation in terms of their interactions with people around them. So, for instance, Aspi, in first 7 years of my life in Pakistan, I actually went to a church high school.
Right, there's no harm. Catholic education.
Anglican.
Anglican. Oh, wow.
And if you're from Lahore, the Anglican and Catholic schools always had a little bit of a friendly tiff. We always thought that we were better, and Catholic school, high school thought they were better. So it was all around competing in sports and education and all that good stuff in a positive way. But coming from a Muslim family, I was encouraged to actually even visit the church on Sundays.
There is no harm. It's a place of God.
Learn about
any place where people really do worship is a place of God.
We truly grew up in a family where Muslims were seen as part of the broader Abrahamic family.
And tolerance was taught to you.
I was taught to read a page of Holy Quran in the morning and say my prayers and go to school. And after that, still hang around with my Christian friends, go to the church, learn about the biblical stories.
Definitely.
On Christmas, I used to take part in Christmas plays.
That's what we like in you. You have integrated so well being a Muslim, because there are people over here who could not even integrate after 20 years. Because with the background, and they still play a card of the religion. But you never played the card of religion, Canada being a secular country. We don't have any state religion. So you're integrated so well. And that is the line of success for you.
So I think that's a testament to the inclusion and respect for diversity Canada as a society has.
And a oneness.
And oneness, inclusiveness.
We recently hosted a delegation from Pakistan focusing on IT sector in Brampton, and I was invited by the economic development team to meet them. And I actually used this as an example. I told them, you're looking at a first-generation immigrant who's a past chair and a lifetime member of the chamber in Brampton. And quite frankly, if the roles were reversed and a Canadian went to Lahore and joined the local chamber, it would probably be a tough slog for him or her to become the chair of the local chamber in Pakistan and represent the business community locally and internationally, right? So I think what you're saying, I appreciate the sentiments, but I think it's also a testament to the broader society.
And your family background, the way you were brought up. That
Yeah,
also
I think
plays
it's
a
a
very,
combination of both.
very important role.
It's a combination of both.
Yeah, and one person can plant that seed for many.
Well, that's it. Yeah.
I know.
So if you're not brought up to look at life as them versus us, and then you come to Canada, and Canada truly puts that into practice, when you see that functional participative democracy based on individual rights and freedoms working together, then it kind of comes together.
But in Canada also, you are aware that we have got 40 faiths.
Yeah.
Well, pure 40 faiths are there, but we live very harmoniously
Right.
and in a very, very peaceful manner. We don't bring religion, and that's why this is the success of Canada, what Canada is, and it's the largest multicultural society in the world.
Yeah, so I would say again that Canada does not tell you not to be proud of your faith. As a matter of fact, I'm very proud to say that in Canada we're all free to practice our
Practice your
religious
faith,
beliefs the way
your
we see them.
culture, whatever way you want, but don't involve the state.
Well, the obligation you have when you have that freedom is to also respect the same for others.
Same for
And as
others
long
also.
It
as you
goes both ways.
As long as you understand that and practice it that way, then I think everything works out.
Because unfortunately, most of the immigrants think that whatever the facilities they have got, it's for them, but they don't know how to give back to Canada. That is also a misfortune.
So yeah, I mean, if you have come from a country where you have not experienced the generosity of the people around you or the state, then sometimes it is a bit of a learning cycle before you realize that, okay, now I've made it, and just like everybody helped me, now it's my turn to help everybody else.
Help with the others and return back
Right.
to your country.
Right.
What has given you everything, and we are proud to be Canadians staying in the best country in the world.
100%.
Go ahead.
Okay. So you are a lifetime director of Canada-Turkey Business Council, promoting bilateral economic relations between Canada and the G20 nations. Can you inform our viewers what are the objectives of the trade body?
So, Patricia, I'm not a lifetime director of Canada-Turkey Business Council. That's
Go
a
ahead.
typo.
Clarify.
But I am a
Aspie?
lifetime.
It's all right. You let him clarify, because I read it and he told me, and I said he can clarify during the question last.
I am a lifetime member of our regional chamber in Brampton Board of Trade, as a past chair. When I was on the board of Brampton Board of Trade, we started working on building bilateral ties with emerging markets, including Turkey. And as a part of it, I had an opportunity to lead a couple of delegations of Brampton Board of Trade members to Turkey to meet local chambers. So after I finished my term on the board of Brampton Board of Trade, I was invited by Canada-Turkey Business Council to join their board as a director. So I am a director for Canada-Turkey Business Council. Business councils act as a bridge between chambers here.
Chambers here between Canada and Turkey.
And chambers internationally.
Internationally,
right? So just like us, Turkey has a very vibrant chamber network, and a business council's job is to take Canadian businesses and promote them in Turkey. And while we're doing that, it's natural that they would look at us.
They will look at us.
And they will say, can you also help our businesses and help them?
Definitely. It's a bilateral agreement.
Exactly. That's exactly what makes it bilateral. So at the chamber level, a regional chamber level, you're doing advocacy at a local level with the municipal government, or at the provincial level through Ontario Chamber of Commerce, or at the federal level through Canadian Chamber of Commerce. In the bilateral situation, you're doing advocacy with actually two groups of
elected officials
on behalf of your businesses. And it's because your businesses are doing business in two jurisdictions, and it's not enough to just talk about to local elected officials. You have to engage elected officials on the other side as well. And that's what business councils do.
From your bio, Badar Shamim, we also get to know you are fond of traveling. So will you throw some light on which countries you have been, and about your family also? You even got married over here in Canada to a wonderful wife who is also a professional. We have met her. She's a thorough professional like you, a broad-based lady. So tell us about yourself and your family.
Yeah, so I was very lucky to fall into a career where you're consistently looking at local economy as well as international economy. And that instilled a keen interest in me to actually travel abroad and visit some of the countries we're looking at to invest in. And so in addition to traveling all across North America, I have visited Europe, mainly in Spain, Portugal, as well as England. I have visited Turkey many times.
Many times,
I
because
visit-
for the being directly involved with that country.
Absolutely. Another emerging market that I visited to promote Chamber Network is India. I'm the only past chair for Brampton Board of Trade who has traveled in different states in India, engaging local chambers to promote chamber-to-chamber dialogue.
Have you touched Chinese market?
No, I've not had the opportunity to travel to China, and it's not for any other reason besides that I was busy actually focusing on North America, Europe, and to a certain extent on Turkey and India. But given the opportunity, I would love to travel to China.
To China.
At the moment, I'm sure both of you are aware that Canada has launched a Canada Pacific, Indo-Pacific
Strategy, yeah.
So Indo-Pacific strategy, in addition to having India, includes Pakistan as well as a lot of Pacific Rim countries
Also.
including Vietnam.
Oh,
So-
wow. Yes, it's a growing economy now.
And we
Vietnam
already-
is coming very well.
And we already have a free trade agreement with them.
Wow,
along with Japan,
That's an
Australia,
added
and
info
Europe.
to us and our viewers.
Exactly. So I think I would love to actually visit Vietnam in the near term.
Mhm.
A lot of friend-shoring, onshoring activity that's going on, whereby businesses are shifting away from China into other countries in the region. Includes India, it includes Vietnam, amongst other countries. And so I think that will probably be the next trip.
So, Badar Shamim, how the time has flown talking to you about the investments and other factors of your life and your education and your broad-based thinking as a Canadian. We would be soon calling you, hopefully next year, again to talk with you, because we have lots of questions to ask from you, but we couldn't complete. The airtime is getting over and my production is giving me signals, and even the red sign you are seeing in front of us. So would you like to give a concluding remark to all Canadians?
Yeah, well, certainly this conversation started with me coming in here as the polio chair for District 7080. So through you, Aspi, and
Pleasure.
Patricia, through
Always
you,
a pleasure.
I would like to invite small to medium-sized business owners and even large businesses to interact with the local Rotary clubs here in Kiel. Both Brampton and Mississauga have a very, very vibrant Rotary network. Have a discussion with the local Rotarians about the local social development and economic development needs that they see, and see how you can become part of the solution here. And at the same time, take a look at what Rotarians are already doing internationally, or explore other opportunities where you can partner with your local Rotary clubs to explore other avenues of service internationally and give back to the community. Thank you.
With that note, we'll be soon signing off from our show, Voice of Canada, this week. Your host, Asphandiar Wadiwalla, my co-host, Patricia Pollack, who is also the author of a book. She has written, Manifest the Life You Want, The Donald Trump Way. He did it. You can do it also. The book is freely available via Amazon, or anybody finding it difficult can always inquire from us, and we'll be able to give you the more information about the book. With that note, we thank Badar Shamim for coming to our show, and hope to have you again next year with more information and more broad-based investment plans. So take care. Have a good night. God bless Canada. God save the King.